Hello difficulty hounds, it's your host Dmod, and if you've been sniffing for a challenge, you've come to the right place. Cuphead is a throwback to many things such as early 20th century animation and music, but one of the biggest tributes it pays is to the early gaming era of punishing gameplay. Right up there with the Contra Volt, this bullet hell platformer requires absurd precision from the player to defeat its bosses. And today we'll be talking about the 5 I found the most merciless. Let's start things off with an honorable mention to these two frogs. I categorized all the bosses in my own personal ranking, and when I got to the final 6, I couldn't leave these amphibians off the list for one simple reason: the final phase. Each boss in this game goes through different transformations. These boxers start out and throw bees and fireballs at you. Standard fare and easily telegraphed enough to be handled smoothly. Then they turn into a fan and throw some glowing balls your way, also easily telegraphed and handled. Then big and tall swallows fat and small and they turn into a slot machine. You go from casually dodging easy moves to a true gamble. They still give you ample tells to what they're gonna do, but which of the 3 you receive is completely up to chance. There's frogs, which gives platforms you must jump on with increasing speed. There's devils, which gives you platforms you're forced to choose high or low based on their laser direction. And finally, there's tigers. These cats are no pussies, and you'd better not be either, because this is nearly identical to frogs, but slower. Except the platforms are shooting balls up in the air, so you have to perfectly time each jump between them while they speed up. Oh, and did I mention that you can only harm the frog slot while the platforms are active? Even after speedrunning the game, there's still times where I struggle here. The key is being patient and not committing too much to damage, but have I ever been known to play it safe? Nah, but you better hope for frogs, because getting unending pussy is not all it's cracked up to be. Instead of bliss, you'll end up feeling unluckier than a guy who won the lottery and had his ticket fly away into the wind into an incinerator up the devil's asshole. That's enough to earn the Froggos an honorable mention. Funny how I alluded to the devil, because he's kind of a pushover compared to his dice-domed comrade. The King of Die himself isn't all that bad. At this point in the game, hopefully you've acclimated yourself very well with the parry mechanic, and if so, it's a simple game of parry, 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 parry. Each parry gives you supercharge, so you really stack the deck against this swindler. The difficulty comes in from how he stacks the deck against you by giving you a maximum of 9 fights before you can even touch the man. At best, you have to go through at least 3 fights if you can perfectly hit on your dice rolls. You can score additional hearts as well, but where they go is complete luck, as is fit for gambling. Some of the mini-bosses are very easy, like the 8-ball for example, who takes less than 30 seconds to defeat and barely requires you to move. Then you've got Chimpfuck over here, who requires you to match all these damn cards together while he spazzes out having a seizure, zooming across the arena making awful cymbal crashes. This is the purest example of an endurance fight in Cuphead. Though all bosses require you to be on your game and take minimal hits throughout their many changes, none require such a diverse skill set all in a single run. Instead of a house, let's take things to the high seas, or the coast at least, where we find Captain Brinybeard. Often when it comes to difficulty in Cuphead, it boils down to how much the player is expected to do all at once. This fight starts off innocently enough with an unsuspecting barrel trying to crush your bones. Meanwhile, Briny Bitch starts jerking his metaphorical chicken shooting balls at you. But then he summons Sea Life to fuck you while the ship starts shooting balls of its own and then suddenly gets a tummy ache and starts shooting fireballs before finally unleashing the base cannon. Oh, and you're expected to find time to do damage while all of this is going on. And Beard Boy is at an upper angle, so I hope you prepared for upper angled shooting without the second stick like I mentioned in my 10 things review. In other words, shoot and jump all while having the master jukes. I would say it's the hardest thing you'll have to deal with in terms of multitasking, but we've still got 3 bosses to go. Keeping things at sea comes this temptress who lulls you in with her cuteness only to fire up her bevy of attacks that would challenge even Amelia Earhart to find a way through safely. You're gonna notice a pattern here. Whereas King Dice was all about enduring for a long time, these fights are about enduring multiple attacks all while finding a way to output damage in the shortest amount of time possible. Because while you can play it incredibly safe and get shifty between all the crazy attacks and only go on offense in periods of downtime, you'll find those periods of time are near non-existent. That's due to Ariel and her band of eels unleashing pufferfish hordes, electric homing eels, ghost pirates, water-spitting horses, flame-shooting flounder, cannon turtles, eels shooting insane amounts of balls, and in the second phase she'll freeze you temporarily in place so she can take advantage of you with all this while you're sitting there helpless. It ends with her head shooting more freezes your way while you move through a small cavern with spikes, skulls, and all the danger you could hope for after hardly surviving the first 2 phases. It's the same as her pirate friend, all the things to dodge and no time to damage. But Dr. Robotnik and the Iron Giant take it to a level no other plane boss aspires to. The sheer amount of shit you have to dodge near the end of this fight is ludicrous. Before we get to that, let's not discount the first 2 phases. In phase 1, you've got a massive laser on the head, a roaming vertical laser from the chest, and little spaceships constantly roaming upward from the stomach. stomach. Whenever you knock off one of these parts, it changes to another attack. The head shoots nuts and bolts, the chest causes arms to spawn that get in the way, shoot blue balls, and can magnet you in a corner, completely screwing your dodge capabilities, and the stomach shoots homing bombs that leave massive after effects in their wake. Once you break the 3, you have to destroy the heart, but have fun dealing with all that nonsense I just mentioned at once. If you do, you get an easy enough phase with the robo head shooting back and forth across the map while avoiding a few bombs. Though, like anything in this game, even though it's not painfully difficult to deal with, you still have to be on your toes to make sure you take no damage. Because you're gonna need it all for Robotnik! There is quite frankly no part in this game that asks more of the player in terms of dodging than the final sequence. He shoots electric shots in massive quantities like a maniac, all while summoning platforms to force you into a smaller space while still shooting electric shots like a maniac. The precision it expects of you is harsh enough, but you'll have the foreground sometimes obscuring your view, and this phase is longer than the amount of time I cried after the ending of the Iron Giant. Come on, we all know that was gut-wrenching. But if that didn't make your innards churn, we've got one final boss to do the trick. This fiery, frolicking fucker is the hardest boss for me, and it's not even close. Even after doing 7 speedrun attempts totaling 8 runs of the game, Puff the Magic Dragon still has my number. Each one of the phases is enough to get me killed. A huge reason for this is the backdrop. I've given Cuphead no shortage of praise when it comes to the animation, but they dropped the ball on this fight. It looks amazing in motion, but why oh why did you make the background white with white cloud platforms and hardly any border on them whatsoever? The amount of times I died jumping to what I thought was a platform that turned out to be the bottomless void is more than I care to count. So if you accept that the platforming itself would be difficult, keep in mind that you have to track what the boss is doing the whole time, dodge effectively, and make sure you properly position yourself so you can keep up the damage. The first phase is a trial enough in this, but the second phase reduces the dragon's hitbox to the lower end of the screen. Then these fireballs will jump at you. They do give off the direction they'll be jumping by the direction they face, however, they give you zero indication of exactly how high they're going to be jumping. I found the key to be as soon as you realize they're jumping your way, move. Gotta go fast or you're getting the blast. But just as with our runner-up, everything else pales in comparison to the final stretch. Similar to that fight, this part is by far the longest portion of the fight, and it's certainly the hardest. This dragon takes up so much real estate on the screen, limiting where you can move. He shoots fireballs constantly with almost no warning, so you're practically forced to be in the back of the arena. And these fireballs will explode in 4 directions if shot, so while asking all these challenges of the player, they punish you for trying to do damage. He does have a 2-part attack where he'll sit still and fire a horizontal fire blast through the center, so if you can get and move to the bottom, you'll have free range to get hits in, or you can do the top if you have lobber. That all depends on your luck with the clouds though. There's so much that goes into getting this fight right, and I'm horrible at nearly all of it. Thankfully, I hit a time I'm satisfied with in 7 speedruns of the game, so I won't be seeing this guy for a long time. I'll have that run uploaded with tutorial commentary tomorrow, and in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed my take on Cuphead's biggest challenges. Let me know in the comments what bosses gave you the biggest run for your money, and if you haven't tried the game out, check my review in our 10 Things series to get my take on the game and see if you'll like it. Thank you all for joining me today, much love to you, and I will see you in the next video.